Alright, welcome back, guys. Today we're going to be talking about James Bond, 007, No Time to Die. I just saw it last night. Um, I liked it. I did. I liked it. Thought it was a good movie. Reviewed it. Went through everything. Um, Gave it its score. And I'm going to be honest, I haven't seen a James Bond film since, like, I was a kid. I really haven't kept up. So I know I have to watch the other ones now. Um, After seeing this one, I want to. I want to go back and I want to watch the other ones now. Obviously, is you know, it's the end of like what a trilogy, I think. So I'd still go back and watch the other ones. I think I did the same thing with Mission Impossible. I'm pretty sure I watched like part three first, and then I watched the first two, and then continued after that. So I might do the same thing with these films here. So, just a heads up, of course, spoilers. And spoil the entire thing. Mention things that happen, throughout the entire film. Um, so if you haven't seen it, you don't want it spoiled. Don't watch this. I'm going to talk about things that happen in the movie. Spoil everything. Talk about mistakes. Talk about things they got right. Things I feel like they got wrong. Start a discussion about it. So yeah, let's just dive right in. Talking about story first. First category of the six. So talking about story, James Bond is retired. He's trying to retire with his girlfriend in Jamaica. Well, sorry, no, I'm skipping ahead. No, he was trying to retire with his girlfriend. They were on their honeymoon, I guess, or just going. I don't know if they were on a honeymoon or if they were just like trying to, if they were literally trying to live where they currently were. I think it was in Italy. Um, Trouble found them. Someone's coming after him. Someone's trying to kill him. He suspects it might be his girlfriend. He gets rid of her. He thinks, she might be a double agent, or he doesn't trust her. And so he gets rid of her, tells her, "You're never going to see me again." He goes to live his retired life in Jamaica, uh, in a little house in Jamaica. And then, his agents, they find him, they contact him, ask him to do a job. He gets involved, thinking it's just a small thing. Go and save a kidnapped scientist. Turns out to be, of course, a bigger plot. World is at stake. Secret weapon. A mysterious new villain shows up. He's got a connection to his girlfriend. He steals a right here. You can see in the trailer. He has some henchmen go and steal a bio weapon that affects people using their DNA. It'll only target certain people that have their DNA registered in the weapon. So the weapon is like a mist, like a cloud. It can be put in water too. They're just little robots. They're like nanobots. They get inside your skin and they'll only kill you if your DNA is registered in their system. Otherwise, you're safe. So that's the bioweapon. That's the weapon in this movie that the villain's going after. He acquires, going to mass produce it, weaponize it. That's the threat. Bond's trying to stop it. Working with a new 007, took his place, took his number while he was retired. He's going to work together with her, along with Q, the tech guy. That's the plot. Not much more to say than that. I don't need to go in much deeper than that. I mean, we are going to go deeper into it, obviously, right now. But that's the overall plot, put simply. Mysterious villain, bioweapon. Bond has to stop them, find where he's located. Throwing a little drama in there with him having this romance, having this woman by his side. And also, spoiler, he has a child with her. The movie kind of does a time skip 5 years in the future, and I think it said 5 years. Yeah, so he has a 5-year-old daughter apparently. He meets back up with his girlfriend. They form their relationship again. He trusts her now. He has a daughter, so now he's trying to protect them. He's trying to protect them, babysit them at the same time. He's trying to save the world. You can expect an obvious hostage situation because of that, which we are going to get into. But that's the story. That's the basic plot. Not going to get into it more than that. There were three main issues I had with the story, and I'll just get into those. The first one I want to talk about being a weak villain plot. Like the villain's literal plot, like what he planned, what his ideals were, his mission. And I have a problem with villains doing this in movies and then somehow believing that he has all these henchmen that are working for him and they're just cool with it. It's the cliche, I'm going to use a weapon to wipe out millions of people and then the world will move into I mean, what? You know, like, move into everything will be peaceful now. Everyone will have order because there's going to be one big scary bad guy with a scary weapon, and if anybody steps out of line, he's going to use it. Everyone's DNA will be infected to the point where I guess you can just kind of snap your finger, or you can flip a switch or something, and those nanobots will kill that specific individual immediately. I mean, it's kind of cliche. Just having the whole control through genocide. He talks about oblivion though in the movie. He says everybody wants oblivion. He really talks like he just wants to start World War III. He wants to start this thing to kill everybody. He just sounds like he wants mass genocide. He comes off that way. The villain comes off like he really just wants people to die. Not like he wants peace, like he wants a new world order. It's kind of mixed. It's not very clear in his dialogue. He's a new villain. We don't get any backstory with him really, other than that Bond's girlfriend, her father, killed his family, and so now he went after her family for revenge. Here he lets her, you know, it looks like he's going to shoot her in the water. That's her as a child. He saves her, lets her live, and that's all we get. You know, we don't get the villain growing up. We don't get to see him in his childhood. We don't get to see him growing up in maybe his country or something, and get the experience of, I saw all this death around me. I saw chaos. I see crime nonstop. I see corrupt governments. That's why I want to do. He doesn't say any of that. We don't get any background into that. We don't get to dive deep into him at all. It's just, here's Bond's last movie. Here's Daniel Craig's last movie. We need a villain. We need a villain fast. We need someone new. Mass genocide, bioweapon. I want to kill. He talks about killing people. It sounds like he just wants to kill people. Sounds like he wants just the world to be void of people. He says oblivion. He says everybody wants death. Everybody wants like chaos. Everybody wants to die. So I'm going to give it to him. But then he tells Bond, we're the same. We want to help people. We just have different means of doing it. So does his help people mean New World Order, or does his help people mean get rid of them? Helping you the best way I can is just to get rid of you. Just get rid of human life on Earth. It's very confusing. And I mean, with that bioweapon, you could probably get rid of everyone on Earth. Like, it's, you know, you probably could. It's not clear. Also, how he was going to get it done was unclear. Him being on his little island that they find him at, his little lair, it seems at the end of the film, he has this lair, he has this base, and he has a bunch of henchmen there, a bunch of guys with guns, and they've got their bioweapon there. They don't attach it to any missiles. They don't attach it to anything to launch. They don't have it in any transportation. They don't show it being loaded into any boats, any trucks, nothing. It's just there being created by scientists and being researched on and made. That's it. And supposedly, a bunch of countries are on their way to the island. I forgot what they said. Germany. I don't know if they said Russia. Like, other countries were like on their way, closing in on the island because they want the weapon. They want what he has. Other than a bunch of henchmen with guns that Bond apparently, you know, could kill all on his own on that island, and the other 007, I don't see how the villain was prepared to take care of that. I don't see how he was prepared to take care of other countries that wanted his weapon. So the villain seems kind of stupid. He doesn't seem very smart. He was smart enough to steal this bioweapon. He doesn't seem clear as to what exactly he wants to do with it. They weren't really clear. I'm going to kill millions of people and just stop there and send a sign. He didn't say that, and there was never that directly. It was all over the place. And then how he was going to secure his weapon wasn't very clear. He took Bond's daughter hostage, right? And he used that to slow him down, almost get him to surrender. And I'm just thinking, you have German soldiers, Russian soldiers, you have people closing in on this island at the end of the movie. I don't think you have a daughter in your arms with a gun to her head for every single one of those soldiers. You're barely dealing with one secret agent killing all your guys on your island, sneaking around doing this. How are you going to deal with all these soldiers coming in on your island? What was your plan for that? And whatever your big plan was, why couldn't you use that against Bond and the new 007 who showed up to your island? Why couldn't you do that? This villain was not bright. This villain was not smart. This villain's beliefs and his ideology, it just wasn't very clear. It was very cliche. It was just very poor writing for the villain. And I don't know. For that, I take off a point for that. I feel like it was just, we need a villain for the final. For Daniel Craig's final Bond movie. And I feel like that's why they went with that. Another thing with the story, there's two more things I want to talk about with the story. One of them is a lot of points. A lot of points. So I'm going to save that for last. The second thing I'm going to talk about is another thing that deals with the end of the film. Has to do with the ending. Has to do with Bond. Spoiler. He dies. To make that happen, just to make the ending happen in general, well, very poor writing, very weak connections to make that happen. Okay, so you have Bond going to this island. It's the villain's lair at the end of the movie, right? You have Bond going to this villain's lair. And again, the weapon is not weaponized. It's not on missiles. It's not in boats. It's not being transported. Mission Impossible would get this right. Other spy movies would get it right. We know where the villain's at. Send some drones in. Send some, get some information. Report back. Oh, nothing's weaponized. Nothing's, gonna launch. Like, it's just, they're making it. There's just scientists here, and there's guards protecting them. That's it. Like, okay, get out of there. Like, we'll just keep the island surrounded. Do they have missiles? Do they have anything they're loading? Like, no, not apparently not. Okay, well, we'll get some more forces in there. Not just one man running around trying to kill all of them. Because he wants to rescue his daughter and his girlfriend. There was really no reason for him to be alone on that island, to be running around like that. I don't see any clear reason for it. It's just to get him alone on the island with the weapon. They're kind of over Japanese airspace, I guess, and so the Japanese are asking, why is there a plane, a British plane, flying above this island, near our waters? They're questioning that, and this is the final scene of the movie. Bond is on the island, his final little mission. He's on the island trying to get the main villain, and so the Japanese are questioning things. Why are you guys over there? And then I guess because of that, okay, German soldiers are on the way. Apparently, they never show them. They just say German soldiers are on the way, Russians are on the way. Just a bunch of other countries are like coming towards the island, and they make it clear. Oh, they want the weapon. And so they're like, we need to blow this up immediately so it doesn't get in their hands. Okay, there it is. There's the poor writing to cliche blow up the island. Big explosion. We got to blow up the island. We got to have the ship launch as many missiles as we can and blow up this island. Bond is still on the island. His girlfriend and child, he got them safely out of there. Okay, they're on a boat. They're already getting away. Oh, Bond is still on the island. You can tell what they're setting up. It was pretty obvious. It was pretty weak too. Like, oh, okay, these other countries are coming in on the island, which opens up a question again. What was the villain gonna do? He didn't have any tanks. He didn't have any. There weren't any vehicles on the island. There wasn't anything big. He didn't have any big artillery there. It was just a bunch of henchmen with machine guns and pistols and grenades. He didn't have anything more than that. Bond got through all of that. What was he gonna do with a bunch of soldiers closing in on the island? And they're already closing in. So I don't think it was because the plane just showed up over the island and alerted the Japanese, and that alert to the Japanese got other countries to notice that and already be on the move in the waters, in the air. I don't think so. It seems those countries were already on the way. Again, what would the villain have... How did the villain not think of that? It's an excuse to have Bond alone on the island to kill him. That's the only reason they did that. It's just very bad. It's just very bad. It's an excuse to have him there, to blow him up. And can't he escape the island? Okay, what are they going to do to cut that off? Well, he gets in a fight. He gets in a fight with the main villain. You see in the trailer, I don't know if they show it, there's like this garden in the villain's lair where there's like this pool of water. But it's like a silo door. And it opens. It's a giant concrete door or metal, and it opens slowly. Bond had to go to the control room, flip a bunch of switches, pull a lever, and it made the door open. And when I saw him travel to that control room from the boat where he put his girlfriend and daughter on, when I saw him travel to that control room, he was killing a bunch of guys on the way. He went through these concrete corridors. He went through this metal staircase. I never saw him go through the villain's garden, his famous little garden in this circular courtyard. I never saw him cross that to get to the control room. when he left his daughter at the bay, where he's gonna obviously have to escape next when he's safe and sound. He went from there to the control room. Never saw him go through the garden. I'm making that point for a reason. He opens the door because the missiles that are launching to blow up the island need to go into that little hole. So he has to open the door. It's a big door, but still, like, the missiles need to get in there because the weapon is like underneath in the basement. So he opens the giant concrete doors. Then he starts to evacuate, like, okay, I'm going to be safe. I'm leaving the island. Then he notices that the concrete doors are closing again. And he screams like no, or he shouts, like that. Like, he starts running back to the control room. I don't think so. It's confusing. And even the guy in his headset tells him, like, no, don't do it. But, he's like, no, other countries might get this on their hands. We can't let that happen. I have to go close the doors again. And so he's rushing to go close the doors again. And he runs to the center of the garden, the villain's garden, where the doors are closing, which, again, I don't remember him crossing that garden to get to the control room, but he's going to where the doors are closing themselves. He literally, as the doors are already closed, now there's water filling up there, he jumps onto the concrete doors as they're closing. And I'm just thinking, why? Why are you jumping on the concrete doors as they're closing? Are you going to pry them open with your hands? They don't show us what he does, because as soon as he jumps onto that circular platform that just closed, he gets shot by the villain, who obviously set up a trap for him. And he just takes it. He really just takes it. He gets shot multiple times, and the villain slowly approaches him, and then they get in a fist fight. He kills the villain. They have some dialogue, whatever, it's dramatic, and he kills the villain, and his dead body is there. And Bond then starts to walk. I kid you not. From what I remember, I might need to see it again. I swear, he starts walking away in a completely different direction than he was going originally when the villain shot him. He's running this way. Here's that circular door that starts closing. He's running towards it in this direction. The villain shoots him. The villain's coming this way. The villain shoots him. They get in a fight here in the middle. And then when he kills him, beats him, Bond starts walking this way again. This way, where the villain came from. He was going in this direction. You can't tell me the control room was in that direction. And you can't tell me he was going for that concrete door. He didn't have any big explosion. He didn't have anything with him to open the door. If he did, he would have done that when the villain's dead body was on top of it. Otherwise, why does a dead villain's body on top of the door stop you from opening it? I don't understand. Why did he go to the concrete doors that were closing? Why didn't he just head straight to the control room? It doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. If you close something with a switch and you start to see that door close, if you open something with a switch and you start to see that door close again, you go to the switch. You don't go to the door itself. And he went to the door itself. I don't understand. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But that's just, even if you take that away, and I got it wrong from seeing it, there's still, again, way too many poor plot points to kill him off. In that fight with the villain, in that little struggle, the villain stabs him with something. It's the bioweapon. One way it works that I haven't mentioned yet is that if you touch somebody that is the target of the bioweapon, the little nanobots, say you have the nanobots in your system, but they're not registered to attack your DNA. Say they're registered to attack someone else's DNA. Well, then if you touch that person, they'll kill that person instantly. So he stabbed Bond with the nanobots, but they're registered to kill his girlfriend. And so now he has them in there. He can't touch her for the rest of his life. He can't hold her. He can't kiss her. He can't touch her. Otherwise, she'll die. And her daughter has her DNA, so he can't touch his own daughter either. And so he has that in him. And so when he hears that, he goes, he flips the switch, he starts to open the doors again, and he kind of realizes, well, I can't touch my wife or daughter ever again, so I'm not going to rush out of here. I'm just going to stay here and let the missiles blow me up. Suicide. It's just suicide, I mean, he was kind of limping. I don't know if he could have gotten out of there, but suicide, I'm not fond of that. I don't like that with a hero in a story. I really don't. This whole kind of I can't touch you physically. Like, I know that's gonna hurt. I'm not saying it's not emotional. I'm not saying it's not hurtful. I don't know, just showing that in what's supposed to be a strong character with a strong moral code to off themselves because of that, just, I don't know. You would see this same type of character meet someone in the movie who maybe lost their daughter, uh, their wife and kids, right? And tries to blow their head off. And this is the type of main character that would take the gun away and say, "Don't do that. You have so much to live for." And yet here he is. I can't touch my wife or daughter again for the rest of my life, or I'll kill them. The the techie guy that he works with, Q, he told him, "Yeah, there's no way to get it out of your system. There's no possible way." I guess he's the smartest person in the world, right? I guess Bond just took his word for it. You're the smartest individual on the planet. You know, you're very good with inventions. You're a very smart guy. You must be the smartest person on planet Earth. There must be no way this could possibly be done. No scientific advances in history, in future years that could reverse this. I'm just going to kill myself. That's how he died. I thought it was really bad. I thought other people that critiqued the film said the same thing. They're like, really? You weren't going to take the chance that you could be with your wife and daughter again? That there could be some advance to where you could get this technology out of your body? No, he just decides to kill himself. Very poor writing. Didn't go with the character. Bond's character writing didn't make sense. The villain, his island, countries on the way, putting pressure on Bond to hurry up and make sure it got blown up, and him not being able to touch his wife, the excuse of the technology being told to him by the Q, "Oh, you'll never get it out of your system, you'll never get it out of your body." All these poor excuses in the writing just to kill him, just to have him blow up on the island. It was very poor, and for all that, I take off a point. Just talking about the third issue, and this one is, this one is a lot of things. I can't, this one is so many problems that I can't stand. It's kind of in the area of choreography, which I never wanted to make choreography a subject for itself in these reviews. I would have rather just combined that with, say, cinematography, because that's something you see visually, like fight scenes, how fast they move, or how they react when they get hit, or kicked, punched and everything. I would throw that with cinematography. This isn't so much cinematography. This is more character actions, when they decide to go somewhere, do something, how they decide to enter a room. I guess you could just call stupid character actions in the story. Just stupid things they do. It bothers me. And I'm gonna reference John Wick and Mission Impossible. I feel like those are three good franchises to have side by side and compare. I know John Wick isn't so much the secret spy working for the organization. I get that, but there are some good comparisons to be made with. So you got John Wick, you got Mission Impossible, you got James Bond. I think they're good to compare. There's certain areas, certain subjects where you can look at the three of them and I can rank them best to worst on a certain subject. Multiple subjects. And here I'm going to compare them in two different ways and rank them. In one way, Mission Impossible takes first place. In another way, John Wick takes first place. And James Bond is always on the bottom. James Bond is always on the bottom. And it makes this mistake time and time again throughout the movie. This one lost 2 points, and I'm going to tell you why. Stupid character actions in the film. Where do I start? There's a lot. I am not going to go through all of them. There were too many things in this film that bothered me, and I'm already looking at a few right now. I'm not going to try to get them all in the exact order that they happened. I'm not going to do that. I didn't even try to do that. I could have, but I don't want to. I'm just going to give them to you at random. James Bond hiding his family, his girlfriend and child, in the shed in the forest, in that wooden house in the forest. They are on the run. They are running through a forest. They were seen by a helicopter and henchmen in cars from a distance going into the forest. They were very clearly seen going in there. There's a bunch of thick foliage, brush, bushes in there. So many hiding places. It's very tall grass and bushes. So many places to hide. You could just bury yourself beneath all that. It's very thick, and they could have hid there very easily. He could have placed them in any, and again, the ground wasn't just flat throughout the forest. There were these hilly areas all throughout the forest. Ground was unlevel everywhere. There were so many little hills and crevices and trees everywhere. And again, the bushes and grass was just up to their heads. Like, that's how high it was. And it was dense. Pointing all that out, right? The forest is like that throughout. There's nothing around but that, except for one thing. There's this wooden house. It's like the size of a room. That's as big as it is. It's just like a little shed in the middle of the forest. What does Bond do? What does this brilliant secret agent do? Okay, we're being hunted. I need to go kill all these guys. I want you guys safe. I'm going to put you all in this little shed. That's just the first thing anyone's going to notice in the forest. I'm going to put you in here. I hope you'll be safe. Oh, look at that. Helicopter's flying away. Bond's looking at it. Yeah, because they kidnapped his family. I wonder why. I wonder how on earth they found him. You know, go search the forest for this little girl and this woman. Where could they be? Trees, grass, little cabin in the woods, grass, tree. Oh, hey, let's go check that cabin. It was stupid. I could not believe it. When he was putting them in there, I was just like, why? Why? What kind of idiot would do that? And he gave her a pistol and told her, you know, shoot anyone that shows up at the door. You know, for a secret villain that was able to steal a bioweapon with ease and have all these trained guys, do you not have any flash grenades? Here's a house. They could be in there. We want them alive. Well, the flashbang isn't going to kill them. Throw it in there. Okay, good. Let's go in. There she is. Take her. Take her daughter. You know, very easy. You know, they could have pulled a Frodo and his friends in Lord of the Rings, you know, where they're hiding under that little hill of dirt from the enemy. They could have pulled something like that. They could have hid in any situation like that. It would have been a much better hiding spot than waiting while waiting for Bond to kill everybody than in that wooden house. That was stupid. I could not believe he did that. That was the first thing I wanted to talk about. Bond constantly standing in the open. This is where I'm going to make the comparison with John Wick and Mission Impossible. This is something I want to rank them in because they're very similar. I would compare these franchises. I would say they're the big action franchises with a lot of gunfights, a lot of the main, you know, the main actor being this special agent or just assassin, very skilled, all these shooting scenes, all these shootouts. And there's different ways they handle it in choreography, visually, the tactics they use, how realistic it is. And James Bond is the worst of the worst. Hands down, James Bond is terrible when it comes to, in comparison to these other franchises. Bond is constantly standing in the open. I hate it. In this film, constantly does it. Constantly does it. There's a giant doorway that's like 20 feet wide, and he knows there are guys with guns chasing him, and he'll just stand in the middle of it, wide in the open. He doesn't get to one side of the door, the left or the right, and, you know, look around the corner. He doesn't do that. He does look around corners in this movie. He does check his corners. He does look back and forth. He does wait for a guy to pop out around the corner and shoot him first. He does do those things, but they're rare. And he does stand in the open way too much. There was a scene where he's walking around this giant concrete like silo. So it's a long hallway stretching around it. And he's walking through it, and he's staying pretty close to the edge, and he shoots a guy here ahead of him, and then he notices there are guys walking behind him. So he turns around, shoots them, and he turns back around, shoots some other guys. And this was spaced out. So you're thinking, okay, you have guys approaching you from the front and the back. Okay, any real police officer or member of SWAT, a soldier, would tell you, you keep aiming down sights, and you keep checking back and forth, and you stay close, you hug that wall. You don't walk in the open. He gets out from the wall. He stands in the open hallway around this silo. He's not checking his back or front anymore. He's not aiming down sights. He leaves his gun hanging on him on the strap like that. And he answers a phone call from Q on the plane. And he's just talking out loud. Like, yeah, I'll be there or whatever. And he's just talking to him. He doesn't check back and forth. Any villain could have just snuck up behind him. Any henchman could have snuck up behind him and boom, that's it. You're gone. He did this constantly. He doesn't take cover. He doesn't hide as often as he should. He doesn't peek around corners because of that. What you just saw. The director's just very flashy. Apparently, they just want to get every flashy shot, every cinematic shot of him You can get a cinematic shot of somebody taking cover, peeking around corners, and being realistic when it comes to SWAT tactics, when it comes to sweeping an area of enemies and you're by yourself or you have only one other partner, and you better be, if you're going to be a character that's supposedly highly trained and you're sweeping an area, James Bond does it, is terrible. It makes me cringe. And if anybody out there says, well, it'd be boring if you made it realistic, it wouldn't be as cool and it wouldn't look as cinematic, well, that's where John Wick and Mission Impossible come in. They did that. Tom Cruise, John Wick, they were constantly hiding. They were constantly checking around corners. They didn't go for those many shots of them standing in the middle of a giant doorway or a big hallway, aiming down the middle, fully exposed, just so you could see them in a tuxedo, just so you could get that cinematic shot of them like that. They didn't do that. They were constantly taking cover. They were constantly watching their back. They were more cautious than James was. He's in a bulletproof car at one point. I can get that. That's fine. But yeah, just too many times he doesn't check his corners. He doesn't look around corners. It does bother me because we've seen it done. We've seen Tom Cruise do it. We've seen Keanu Reeves. Oh, and to rank them, Mission Impossible was second place. John Wick was first place in that regard. They did it so good. Keanu Reeves in John Wick was so much more realistic. Taking cover the way he did constantly. He was always ducking behind something. He would duck behind something and be cornered. And instead of pulling that move where it's like you're hiding behind something and there are a bunch of guys over there shooting at you knowing you're behind that crate or that cinder block, that concrete block, and they know you're there. So other action movies would just have the hero stand up real quick and eyeball everybody and start shooting them and then move on, which isn't very realistic. John Wick would do the opposite. John Wick would have him hide behind cover. People are shooting at him. They know he's in that spot. They're shooting there. And then he would put his pistol or his machine gun over his cover, fire blindly, which would get them all to hide. He knows that's going to get them to hide, which makes him run to another place, another cover point, and then he shoots them from there. I love that. That was great. That was realistic. That draws you into the film. That sucks you into the film. That doesn't slap you in the face like a James Bond movie, slap you back into reality, and you kind of wake up and you're like not sucked into the film anymore, and you're like, oh, that's stupid. Oh, that's right. I'm watching a movie. This is fake. This isn't reality. Those kind of things ruin the experience. Whereas John Wick can do it and still be cinematic, and it can still look good. Tom Cruise did it too, but it wasn't as good as John Wick. John Wick was like much more realistic with it. He was taking cover all the time. When, using a pistol in the museum, in these courtyards, he was using cover, he was hiding, checking his corners. It was, he trained for that too. And so it was much more realistic. And so I appreciate that. The girl with the blue dress that he worked with, that only had like 3 weeks of training or something, she did the same thing. She was constantly in the open. She was constantly exposed to the enemy in wide doorways. At the bottom of that staircase, henchmen are just walking down the stairs, and she's just standing in the middle there. And every henchman, of course, in this movie has to aim their gun one at a time, taking turns. There's moments where there's 4 henchmen aiming at Bond. There's scenes where there's three or four at the girl, at him. Nobody knows to pull the trigger at the same time. It's like they all have to take turns, of course. And it's really stupid. James Bond and the new 007, when they're on the island, the villain's island, his personal lair, and they're working together there. They're on this platform above these scientists, these workers, working on the chemical weapon. Down below them, there's a bunch of them in hazmat suits. They're directly below them. They're standing right above them, and they're pretty well lit. They're not in the shadows. They're pretty well lit. They're on this platform standing right above like 100 workers working on the weapon below them. Directly in front of them is this giant window where they can see scientists working on the weapon, studying it and researching it. And they're just standing on this platform for what feels like a solid minute. They're just there with their guns. They're just standing there, and the scientists don't notice them. The workers down below don't notice them. And if you're going to tell me, well, the scientists don't have all the henchmen memorized. It's like, oh, look at those guys wearing all black with guns. Well, those just must be more guards, more of the villain's henchmen. Oh, I understand that. I can understand that completely. But the thing is, James and the 007 girl, they don't know who those scientists are. They don't know that they're all hostage scientists. They don't know that the people below them are all hostages or whatever. They don't know who in this group of hundreds of people right there surrounding them, they they don't know who there is a bad guy who would look at them and say, "Oh, hey, that's I don't recognize those two people." And they're just standing there for like a solid minute talking to each other out loud. It's terrible. I hate it. There's no sneaking around there. There's no being careful. It just kind of takes you out of the experience. There's just such a big giant freaking window with scientists behind it, and they're just looking at it, and scientists are just standing there and they don't notice these two people. But the main problem is that James and 007 should be smart individuals who would think, we can't let anyone see us. Let's talk over here behind this pillar in the shadow where we were currently standing, and talk over here. We took a quick peek at these people over here. Let's get back in the shadows. No, they're just standing in the open light. I get James Bond movies need to be eccentric. They need. I guess that's the thing with James Bond films, but it doesn't go well with me. I'm taking off points for that. It doesn't go well with me. This was constantly there. There is a second way I want to compare Mission Impossible, John Wick, and James Bond. This is another way I want to list them in a tier of first to third place. In this regard, Mission Impossible gets first place, John Wick gets second, James Bond, again, on the bottom. It sucks. Well, just hiding in general. Being a secret agent, being in disguise, hiding from the enemy, being sneaky. This is something you expect from a spy movie. This is something you expect from one of these films. James Bond, it's the worst. It's the worst. Mission Impossible gets first place. I love it. When they created the whole wearing a mask thing and the voice filter, and for anyone that said, well, that's unrealistic, well, that's not, well, they did it, okay? And if you're going to say that, there are people who go in disguise. We have people who can make some pretty realistic masks. Fake facial hair, fake, contact lenses to change your eye color, wigs. People can make real disguises these days. And of course, Mission Impossible took it to a level we don't have yet with the mask they wear, the machine that makes it for you, and the voice filter. Like, that's awesome. And that was a very good excuse for them to go, hide in the open, hiding in plain sight. Mission Impossible handled that very well. I love that. The first place, like, that's realistic. Secret agents really hiding instead of just being in the open so you can get a cinematic shot. John Wick gets second place. John Wick didn't have anything like wearing disguises and things like that, but he would take tunnels. He wouldn't just walk in the open street. He wouldn't pull up in a fancy car like James Bond and just get out of his car, adjust his suit, and then just walk to a building. He wouldn't do that. John Wick would take tunnels. He would get maps for underground tunnels. He would go through alleyways. He would go through the rooftops. Like, that's what he would do when he needed to take down a target, when he needed to infiltrate some building, someplace. Third place, the worst, James Bond. It's terrible. It's really bad. Whenever he wanted to sneak into a building, he didn't sneak at all. He walked in the front door wearing a suit, ordered a martini, with his face fully exposed. This right here, where he walks into this club, this is awful. This is awful. He openly says, there's a bunch of Spectre agents here. There's a bunch of villains here that I've dealt with. That he had to take out. That Spectre knows who he is. And here he is walking in a club full of them. They're looking at him. He's not covering his face. He's not trying to hide. He's walking in plain sight. Then one of the henchmen is holding a camera where the main villain is looking at him, and he's hacked into Bond's earpiece, or he knows that Bond is listening. And so he tells Bond, I can see you, and then everyone turns their attention to Bond. And all the people in this room having the party, they start walking away from Bond while staring at him and smiling at him. And James is like confused, looking around like, why is everyone reacting this way? Oh no, my cover's blown. Why do they have him look like that? He looks surprised. You see it in the trailer. Everyone's walking away from him while he's in the spotlight, and he's like shocked. He's shocked, like, what, my cover's blown. You walked in there with nothing on your face. You walked in there fully exposed around villains that you've dealt with before. and you're shocked that they noticed you, and they used the bioweapon on him, but it didn't work, because the scientist readjusted some things and it didn't affect him. But it's stupid. It's really stupid. You can be realistic and still make a great movie, a great cinematic experience. You can be cinematic with Tom Cruise, with Keanu Reeves, and you can have realistic tactics. You can have people check their corners. You can have people hug the walls and hallways and shadows in a movie during gunfights. You can have them wear masks. You can have masks. You can have them use voice filters. You can have all of that. Get away with it and still be cinematic and make the actor look good. James Bond films don't care about that. That's a long list, and there were so many other things that this film did. I don't know what else. I mean, one more. The security lab that had the bioweapon. No security. There wasn't even a regular security guard in that room with the scientist. This is a weapon that the British intelligence was like, we need to keep this a secret from the world. It's the greatest weapon we've ever created. It's in an office space with scientists. One scientist has a security code to open the door, and these men that broke through a window, they rappelled down a building. There's no well, maybe they took the cameras out. There's no guards. There's no guards. There's no guards with, automatic weapons. There's just scientists. There's hardly anybody there. I think there was one guard. Maybe there's one or two. But you should have an arsenal. Even if it's the most powerful weapon the world has ever seen, and you have nobody guarding it in what looks to be an ordinary lab, an office space with a bunch of scientists. They take it so easily. It's ridiculous. So for all that, I take off 2 points for stupid character actions. For MI6 not taking care of their weapon, for James Bond, the girl in the blue dress, every other character, the new 007 being wide in the open, fully exposed, no realistic tactics in these gunfights, in clearing an area. So story comes down to a 6. I give story a 6. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Moving on to characters. When it comes to characters, and again, I know when I do these videos, I talk forever on the story. So I'm just going to kind of not rush, but don't worry, they won't take as long. Nothing too bad about character writing, really. You didn't have everyone that was exactly the same in all aspects of character writing. You had your different characters. You have Bond as this strong, intelligent agent. I mean, in as intelligent as, apart from the stupid actions they had him take in the story, choreography wise, just, being in the open and all that, but just his writing as a character, being this strong-willed, smart character. You have that as the lead role. You have a cool hero. Not going to say he's not a cool hero. He is. You have his girlfriend as this is like a fellow spy, a strong spy. It wasn't bland with all the female characters and then all the male characters. There were different character writings. I liked it. You have her as a tough 007, a rival agent to Bond's character. You have the girl in the blue dress. I really liked her. I really liked her writing. They wrote her as a young go-getter, brand new agent. She was very eager to work with James Bond. She was talking about how she only had 3 weeks of training. She was excited, she was nervous. I liked her writing. It wasn't very bland. They had a character upbeat like her. Then they have the tough, the tough, rigid female character, the new 007. Then they had the woman working in the office, nicer character working in the office, kind of the secretary to that guy who runs their secret agency. They had him. He was fun. He was a fun character. The black guy that met him in the bar, I don't remember his name. He was very charismatic. He was very fun to watch. His character writing was nice. He wasn't too serious in terms of how he acted. It felt like when he joked a lot or he was sarcastic, it wasn't too much. It was just right because it fit his character writing. It didn't contradict itself. That's just the way he was. I liked it. I don't know if he's in the other films. I bet he is, and I feel like I would really like his character in the other films. You had a villain with personal issues from his childhood. They don't dive deep into his... They really don't dive deep into his character. They don't dive deep into anything, but you still get a character that is written well in the sense that, traumatic pain, got him to work hard to start some criminal organization with a goal. Got people to, you have that character. You have determined henchmen. You have determined agents fighting alongside Bond. You had Q, his techie who had helped him. Uh, Ultimately, with all these characters, so you had a vast array. You had a vast array. You didn't have just completely the same across the board. You had him being serious. You had the tough girl. You had the fun, energetic girl in the blue dress in the bar. You had a vast array of different character writings. You didn't have this bland, everything the same overall. But you did have something overall that I don't like, that Mission Impossible didn't do as bad as this one. John Wick did it pretty much the same as this one, and that was, they all had the same bland, sarcastic, witty character writing. Despite the differences, like I said, overall, where you have the tough guy, the not so tough guy who's just a techie, you have someone who's more compassionate, you have this character written as more tough, and you have this guy who's written as the leader, father figure of the company, who runs everything and wants to protect everyone and is very strict. You have different, you had a vast array like that, but then you have this unrealistic, everyone in the movie is this sarcastic, witty person who makes these one-liners, whether it be the guy in the bar, whether it be that girl, his girlfriend, whether it be James Bond, whether it be the guy who's smart with computers, the techie, whether it be him, whether it be the girl, the secretary in the office, whether it be the guy who ran, everybody was like this. Even the daughter, even the little girl, she said something to him in the kitchen when he was cooking food. She said, "Oh, not bad." Like, everybody was like this. Everybody was witty, sarcastic, had a one-liner. It's just not realistic to me when you write something the same for all the characters. When you say, like, when you're just trying to set a tone for the movie, and you're just like, you know what, every character is gonna be sarcastic and witty. Like, we're just gonna have that for everybody. I don't like that. It's not realistic. You meet 10 people, they're not all gonna be that way. They're not all gonna come up with things like that. You might have 2 or 3. It's not gonna be all of them. This movie has everybody like that. Even if, the girl behind the desk, the secretary, nicer character, she made a sarcastic remark. She made something, and it was just like, oh, okay, you got to have her act like that. Okay, so her character is written that way a little bit. Then you have the scientist, who's a bad guy, who's working with the villains. He was the same way. He was coming up with one-liners left and right. He was coming up with jokes in really intense situations. He was written as this... He was written like somebody that would be written like a main character, like a secret agent in the movie, who should be calm during tense situations. He should be terrified. He should be scared. He didn't come off that way in certain situations. He was pretty calm, and he was pretty sarcastic and witty too. Everybody had that. Everybody had this sarcastic, witty, dropping one-liners all throughout the film. Like, every character had that in their writing, and it's like, it's not realistic to have all these different people, different backgrounds, different personalities, but have this one core character trait all throughout them, which is clear they're just trying to give that throughout the film. So since that was there, and since that was just in everybody, and it came out through the acting, it came out through the acting, everybody's sarcastic, everybody's giving a one-liner, everybody's insulting each other once or twice during the film. Every character is written this way. Like, it's not realistic. So, 2 points for that, because it was constant and it was with every single character. So that's what I give characters. Now, moving on to acting. Just talking about acting in this film. There's nothing really bad with the acting. I liked it. I didn't think it was too much. I didn't think it was overly fake. I didn't think it was hyper realistic which is, some movies actually do that. They'll have actors talking and delivering lines and actually, like, stuttering to, like, make it look realistic, like how, we talk in real life, right? We stutter, we make mistakes, but in a movie, everything's perfect, right? Nobody stutters, unless it's written for one specific scene, to where we're going to have another actor make fun of that actor, or make fun of that character in the movie and joke like, you stuttered. But this movie, doesn't do that. It doesn't really go into either extreme with all the characters. Everything's pretty fine. The acting's pretty fine. It's not so much over the top, except for one character, which was a constant thing. It was the main villain. I didn't like his acting in this movie. I felt like it was too much. I also really don't like the actor that plays him. I do like the actor, but whenever I see him, all I can think of is Night at the Museum. I can't think of anything else. I'm not saying you can't play lighthearted movies and then play a serious movie like this. I'm not saying you can't do that and still give a good performance. I've seen actors do that. I just didn't feel like he pulled through with this one. I feel like the voice he was giving, the voice he was forcing, the way he was trying to sound monotone and have that quiet voice and sound scary like that, how slow he was talking too. I mean, it was just super fake to me. It was super fake. This is a character we get constantly. It was overly dramatic. It was too much. The villain was too much in his voice. It's the main villain. You see him all the time. It was just, it sounded like something out of a kid's cartoon. It sounded like a villain out of a kid's show. I'm gonna be honest. Seeing that actor, knowing how that actor actually talks in real life, I feel like he would have been more threatening and scary if he literally just spoke the way he actually speaks. It would have been more threatening actually than if he talked the way he did in the movie. Every line he delivered, threatening Bond, threatening the world, threatening people, if he would have done that with his normal voice, it would have been more threatening. It really would have. It really would have been better than him forcing that voice. It's just too much, and it's constant. On the subject of acting in this movie, there's one other thing, but this isn't a constant character thing, like constantly. It was just one scene in particular, and I'm mentioning it because it involves him again. It's the girlfriend. It's Bond's girlfriend. When he leaves her, and there's this 5-year gap, she becomes a psychiatrist, and you can see where she was crying in that one scene where they zoom in on her face. She is told that she has to go see a patient in her office, and it's the villain, but she doesn't know it's the villain. He's going to reveal that to her. He meets her. She meets him in the office like a patient. She just thinks he's a patient. She doesn't think anything else. He's not wearing the mask. He has the mask hidden in a box, and he's about to hand it to her. The acting in there, to me, is terrible. It's unrealistic. It doesn't make sense because she just met him. It bothered me from the moment I saw it. She never treated him really like a normal patient. She sees this patient. The most normal thing she probably said was like, "Hi, how are you doing?" or something like that. And then he makes a comment about how she's beautiful. "Oh, you're a beautiful psychiatrist. That must be a problem for you." And she stops and slowly turns like she has a gun on her, like she saw a ghost. I don't understand why she started acting that way with him. I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense. She's already acting like you're a threat, my life is in danger, like she recognized him or something, and she doesn't. She sat down and she gave him this stern look. She gave him such a serious look on her face. She was looking at him like direct eye contact. She was dead serious while staring at him. The way she was talking was like kind of not rude, I guess. I mean, well, if you're talking to a patient, you could consider it that way, I guess. He looked at a plant on her desk near her window or something. He said, "Oh, I know what that plant is. If you eat that plant, it will make your heart stop." And he says it in his dramatic voice and everything. And she looks at him all slowly and suspiciously. It's like, you're going to make this guy suspicious if he's just a regular patient. She looks at him all slow and dramatic, and she says, "Well, then I'll make sure not to eat it then." And she says it that way with a tone. And it's just like, why are you acting this way in front of him? Why are you acting this way as soon as you walked in, only being told you have a patient? Why are you treating him this way? Is this how you treat all your patients? It's like all your patients must look at you and go, "Why are you treating me like I'm being interrogated? Like, back off. You're supposed to help me." Again, she's a psychiatrist. You could assume that her patients would act in a dramatic, weird way. They might be crazy. They might be having some mental issues. So why is she talking to him this way? It would have been better. The scene would have been better if she walked in acting like, "Oh, I've got a patient. Let me act cheerful and happy for a patient like a psychiatrist should. Hi, how's it going? How are you doing? Oh, that plant on your windowsill. If you eat the leaves, your heart will stop." "Oh, really? I didn't know that. Oh, I'll make sure not to eat it." Smile at him, say that. Just kind of, that's a weird thing for my patient to say, but just, move on with the conversation. Show a smile or something. No, I'm not doing the whole women need to smile more. You know what I'm saying. Male or female, just psychiatrist needs to act normal with a patient. She wasn't acting normal with him. Her acting was so bad there. It was unrealistic. It was terrible for that scene. And then of course you have his voice, which is over the top, and I couldn't stand it. And then he shows her the mask. She realizes who he is, and then she freaks out. So she didn't know who he was until she saw the mask. So why she's treating him like that is unrealistic. It's bad acting. Um, that was it overall. I'm just gonna take off 1 point for acting because it was just one character throughout the entire thing. It was the villain. The girlfriend wasn't like that throughout. She was just like that in that office scene. So I'm just gonna have it there. So acting is just one off. So acting is gonna be a 9. Um, okay. As for cinematography, audio slash music, and genre, I'm just gonna tell you right now, all three of those on the bottom, they got a perfect score. They got 5 each. I'm not taking off points for any of those. Cinematography, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful film. I like the way it was shot. It was very pretty. It's a James Bond film. It they're gonna do that. Every shot they got of him was great. Which, yes, it gets a perfect score with me, but there are times when when they did that, they sacrificed certain things, like having him be realistic when it came to checking his corners, entering a room, entering a building, because James Bond directors apparently don't care about being realistic and getting a cinematic shot of their actor hiding behind a corner or a pillar. They don't think that's very cinematic, and they don't want to get that shot all the time. Went over the top with it. It's beautiful. A lot of cool scenes, a lot of cool shots. Look, a cool shot of James Bond standing in the middle of a bunch of people in a party. Very pretty, very beautiful. He shouldn't be there though. He should be hiding. He shouldn't be walking in the middle of a bunch of villains. He knows they're villains. He knows they're bad guys. He doesn't wear a disguise, doesn't wear a mask, doesn't he doesn't hide. He's just walking in the middle of that freaking party. There are a bunch of bad guys, and he said they were. But very cinematic, very beautiful. Every explosion, everything was very realistic. No explosion looked cheap. No CGI looked bad. Very good. There were times you could see the CGI James Bond. You could see the James Bond that wasn't real. You could tell, but it was still very good. It was at a good distance. The lighting was right. You couldn't, like here. Still, it looked good. It looked pretty. Audio and music was fine. The music was very emotional. Made you sad at the right parts. Made you excited during the right parts, during the gunfights, during the car chases. Very loud, very good orchestra. It excited you. It made certain moments very intense. You want to know how good the music was? The music was getting me emotional at the end of the film when he died. I didn't want him to die. It was sad, and the music was getting to me. Even though it was pretty stupid how he died, and the writing to get him dead was very stupid, like I explained, and there was a bunch of poor connections to kill him off on the island. That tells you the music's doing a good job if it's making you feel emotional, even though it was a bunch of poor writing to get him there to his death. Sound effects were fine. I mean, like I said, I don't really talk too much about that unless there's something blatantly wrong. Everything was fine. 5 points for that. Genre. There weren't any 2 genres or 3 genres. This movie had good comedy. It had drama. It's an action movie. It had action. It wasn't so much a thriller like a mystery movie. It was more just action, comedy, drama, romance. Romance was a big part of this, and I think they handled that very well. I think the romance it was a very good romantic story. I liked it. It was very good. It wasn't cheesy. It wasn't a cheesy romance thrown into it. No, it was very good. It was a very good romance story thrown in there. I liked it a lot. I thought it was very well done. No genres overlapped each other in a wrong way. No genres messed with each other. It had too much comedy, way too much. No, it wasn't like that. It wasn't like a Marvel film with a joke every 5 minutes. No, I'm not going to apologize for that. It didn't have too much comedy. It didn't have too much drama. It didn't, whatever. It just, genre was fine. So Putting all that together, you have a total score of 38 points. 38 points for James Bond. So I just saw it last night. You know, I'm trying to do these like immediately after I see the film, so everything's fresh in my mind. Um, I think it's fair. I don't know what you guys think. If you disagree with me on a lot of points, if you agree with me on some points, whatever, tell me in the comments. Let me know. Let me know if you enjoyed it. Let me know if you agree. Let me know if you think some of these things are just too much, if I go too far in certain things. I want to know. I feel that way a little bit when it comes to judging, say, the being tactical in gunfights. But then I don't feel that way at sometimes because it's like I look at John Wick, I look at Mission Impossible, and they do it, and they're still great movies. So I don't see the excuse for James Bond to, you know, get away with this. Let me know what you think about that. Final score after scoring all these subjects is 38 points. So 38 points into my title category. James Bond is a good movie. It's a good movie. It's not terrible. It's not bad. It's not decent. It's not amazing. It's good. James Bond, No Time to Die, is a good movie, and that's my score. So, hope you like this video. Sorry, kind of all over the place. Still, trying to get these a little more organized. These are basically just rants. These are just rants of my favorite movies and, or rather, movies I see now, and anime. So let me know what you guys thought of this review. Let me know what you guys thought about the score. Again, let me know what you guys think about the scoring system I created and the title system. Let me know if you would do something differently, how you would do it, how you would score a movie, what you would create. Let me know what you think of this one. Let me know what you think of the score I gave it. If you think it deserves more, if you think it deserves less. If you think I was too critical on some things, if you think I was too lenient on some things, I doubt that. But regardless, go ahead and let me know. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I'll see you in the next movie review.